Today I'm going to be talking about one of my favourite pieces of gear that I've ever owned, and this is the MSR Hubba NX tent. I got this tent in 2021 and it has had some serious miles on it. I've had it on about 500 miles of the PCT and many other trips, and it's been through many different climates and weather conditions, and I feel like I really know this tent well, so now is a really good time to talk about it. I'm going to run through how I pitch it, and I'm going to tell you all about the pros and cons of it, what I think, what my personal opinion is on it, and whether I'd recommend it, and my final verdict of the MSR tent. This particular model is the MSR Hubba NX1. It's a one-person freestanding double-walled tent. I got this particular one on Amazon in 2021 for £333. Now they are going for a bit more, 400 and something. You need to double check that. So I'm gonna start with showing you exactly how I pitch this tent. Okay, first things first, I always use a ground sheet. This is a piece of Tyvek. I highly recommend Tyvek. It looks like paper, but it's actually really durable. Probably one of the most durable things I had in the PCT. This did over 2,000 miles last year and is still going strong. And I actually really like the bag that it comes in. You don't have to squeeze it in, plenty of room in it. So because this is a double walled tent, you'll see you've got the inner here and the fly sheet as well. So we're gonna start with pitching the inner. This tent also comes with these really nice stakes. These ones are a bit battered looking, but I actually really like them. So I'm going to go round and peg in the four sides. It's not necessary to do this, but it can really help if it's windy to have it pegged down before you start putting the pole in. So I'll usually just lightly put these four in, because the beauty of this tent, with it being freestanding, is that you can move it around. So I'll just lightly put these in and then I'll get the poles together. The poles are feather light poles. These are so light, they feel like nothing. And the really nice thing about these is that it's all one pole. So there's no separate poles. They're all just connected, and they connect so easily. So you just slot these all together. Okay, so now you can see that you've got these two bits going out here. They're going to stick in either side of these little grommets. Shoes, grommet. And then the same over this side. And then we'll get onto this in a minute. This holds the top of the tent together. You'll see that there in the two ends there was probably not the best place to pitch a tent, in between trees, but there we go. So we do the same on this side. And now it's just a case of taking these little hooks and hooking it round. And then with this top bar, you want to make sure that you have it on this side, not coming from below. And all you have to do is take these little grommets, put that there, and put that there. Just to give you a closer look at what I was doing there, you've got these little grommets here, and you want to make sure that this is on top. Got the same over there. You've got it around here, you've got a clip there. You've got the clip there that just pops over, clips at the end. It's a very symmetrical tent. I just think it's such a lovely design, this tent. Give you a proper look around it. There we go. So you can do all this without even, in fact, you can totally use it like this without having any stakes in at all. Of course, you know, it's probably not the best idea, but it can be done, you know, if you wanted to like camp on a hard ground or something. But yeah, so like what I'll tend to do then is I'll often then, you know, most of the time I won't even have these done in when I'm putting it up, but if I have done, I'll take them out and maybe, you know, move it about, just try and like, you know, tighten these up and just make sure that I've got it, you know, nicely pitched. This is probably not the best pitch in my life, but you get the idea. Alright, so now to put the outer on. Yeah, you want the zip to be down to the side, and then you'll see here these little grommets. All you have to do is just pop them underneath and they'll stick on to below the pole. So that just pops under there. You'll also see underneath, it actually took me a wee while to figure this out. There's red grommets underneath that sticks to the top pole. So we just pop that on. And it's the same around the other side too. And at the very back of the tent, then you stake this here out. And for the vestibule, you can stake this out. There we go, cute little dome. And that will do, once I'm happy with the positioning, I'll usually like move it about a little bit, check that I'm all happy with it. Then you can just go round and tighten all these edges. Just in case of really just pulling it down. You can open a little ventilation window. And that's basically that. Hopefully I didn't make that look too complicated. It's honestly probably the easiest tent that I've ever had to pitch. I think it's lovely to pitch. Yeah, so I'll take you on a wee tour. So here we go. MSR lovely Hubba NX1 tent. We have the door is here. We have a little hook here just to put the door across, and this is the inside of the tent. As you can see, lovely, lovely tent. It's actually quite a nice size. I would say it is just enough space for one. Of course, it is a lightweight backpacking tent, so there's not tons of space in here, but it is enough for me. Okay, so now that we've got it all pitched, I have some notes here. I'm going to go through, I'm going to talk about the pros and cons and how this tent's performed in different weather conditions. So I'm going to start with the pros, and one of course is the fact that it is freestanding. This is a massive pro of this tent. It can be pitched anywhere. Like for example, if you were somewhere where the ground's really hard and you can't get a stake in, you can still sleep in this tent. And also the fact that it's totally freestanding, like I was saying earlier, is that if you pitch it somewhere and you know maybe you get in and you're like, this isn't great, you know, you can pick it up and you can move it about. And I love being able to just pitch it and move it around and try find a really nice spot. So I really like that about this tent. And as well as it being freestanding, one of the major benefits of this tent is that it's a double walled tent. This is a massive benefit. Of course, it's going to depend where you're using the tent. Like for example, on the PCT, I did switch to a single walled tent to save weight, because of course it being double walled means that it was heavier. But yeah, for the majority of the PCT, single walled was fine because condensation wasn't a massive issue. However, when I reached Washington, I did eventually change back to this tent because condensation was an issue with my other tent, and it was getting to the point where it was so cold through the night that it was getting condensation on the inside and then freezing, which was not very nice. It was basically snowing inside the tent. On my other one. So having double walled means you're not going to have to deal with condensation, which in a country like this in Northern Ireland, it is very wet. So yeah, that is a serious advantage of this tent. I would also say this tent is extremely comfortable. I would seriously give it 5-star reviews on TripAdvisor if this was a hotel, because it is so comfy. I love the fact that the ground is taut because you can peg out the sides. The ground's taut and it's also really cozy. And this might not be important for a lot of people, but I really like the way the bathtub floor, it goes up really high, so it feels like you're in like a little cocoon when you're all cozy. And yeah, it's just really comfortable. It's also very high as well, and it's not just with my trekking pole tent, you know, it's only high in the middle. This one is like, because it's a big dome, it feels really spacious, even though it's quite small, it's quite narrow, it feels very spacious and you can sit up in it. And yeah, I would just say this is a very, very comfortable tent. This tent is very, very reliable. I feel very safe in it and I trust it in all weather conditions that I've been in. I have even had this tent in Australia in a 3-day tropical storm, and it was so bad that it flooded all around the tent, and I had to use my poop trowel to dig a little like moat around it, and like rivers coming out to like drain the water from below it. Like it was, that's how heavy the rain was. It was a crazy storm, and yeah, it lasted for about 3 days, and I did not get wet. This tent did not leak. It kept me super dry. And yeah, I've had it in wind and yeah, rain, hail, and yeah, I would say it is a very, very secure, safe, reliable tent. I haven't had it in heavy snow. It is marketed as a 3-season tent, so I'm not sure how it would perform in snow. Honestly, I would probably rather not go camping when it's chucking down snow anyway. But yeah, I would say really reliable in bad weather. Another really nice thing about a freestanding double walled tent is that you can sleep under the stars. So you can pitch this tent without the outer, and oh, I did that a good few times in the PCT, and it was so lovely because it was like cowboy camping, like sleeping out in the open without having to worry about bugs. And you would just be all cozy and you'd fall asleep seeing the stars and shooting stars, which was really, really, really lovely. I really enjoyed that. I really missed that when I switched tent because I wasn't able to sleep without the top on. So that's definitely a benefit of this tent. I just thought of another benefit as well. Like, it is a very small footprint size, this tent. So actually, like, it's really good for fitting in tight spaces. So on the PCT, when people say they had like Durstons or, you know, Z-Packs duplexes, like quite big tents, you know, I was able to fit in the smaller spaces, and especially with the way that you can move it about, you know, if it was lots of tight little spaces, you know, especially my very first night in the PCT, this campsite was like totally full, and I was able to pitch it and walk around and kind of like slot it in places, and you know, I was kind of like cramped between like 2 bushes, but you know, it worked. If I was in a different tent, yeah, I wouldn't have been able to. So yeah, it's quite yeah, it's got small footprint size. For the cons, there's really only one con to this tent, and that is that for a through hiking tent, it is on the slightly heavier side. This is definitely not a heavy tent, but I would call it a lightweight tent. It's not ultralight. It weighs 1.29 kilograms or 2.84 pounds, which is, that's pretty light. That's pretty light for a freestanding tent. You definitely can get lighter though. So yeah, this is why I was keen to change on the PCT, because if you're out for maybe a week or so, you know, that's fine. But I had over 2,000 miles to hike. That is the only downside, I would say, of this tent. I suppose as well, maybe another downside is that you're having to carry the tent and poles. So I actually packed the tent in my Thermarest pump sack, and I would put the poles in the drinks holder, you know, so that's just like more bulkiness really than my trekking pole tent. But that is the only negative thing I can think of. I will say though, in recent releases of this tent, it does sound like they have made it lighter. I think like 100 grams or so lighter. So yeah, if weight isn't too important for you, 100% this is, I could not recommend this tent enough. But if you're planning a through hike, if it was me, if I was to buy again, even though I absolutely adore this tent, I think I would probably look at the MSR Freelight. Is similar to this, but it's a good bit lighter. There's also the Nemo Hornet one person, which looks great. I know lots of people that have used those in through hikes, and again, they're lighter. There's also Big Agnes tents, a couple of those as well, kind of like similar in style with that pole system, that are lighter than this. But in saying that, I absolutely adore this tent. So I would find it really hard to switch to another freestanding tent and not take this on a trip, because I do absolutely love it. I'm going to tell you what MSR says. This will be about the newer model because they're talking about it being a bit lighter. So They say now a full 0.17 kilograms or 6 ounces lighter, the best-selling freestanding MSR Hubba NX tent has been reinvented as the most livable ultralight solo backpacking tent available, expertly engineered for 3-season camping. The lightweight compact tent won't slow you down. And I will agree, this is a fantastic tent. Honestly, like, to me, this tent feels like home. It's why I started the PCT with it. It's why I have done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles with this tent. Oh, here comes a plane. This is actually the Red Arrows. They're passing over Belfast. I thought it was going to be 20 past 12, which is in about 20 minutes. So I think I might end up missing them. They're literally just passing over right now by the sounds of it. Anyway, totally forgot where I was up to there. Yeah, I think I was basically just saying that this is a brilliant tent. Like, it really, I just love it. It feels like home to me. It's really comfortable. Don't have to deal with condensation problems. It's light enough, could be lighter, but you know, it's reliable. It's going to keep you dry, and yeah, it's comfortable. And I guess that's really all you want. So yeah, I would not hesitate to recommend this tent. Again, like I said earlier, if you're going to go for a massive long 2,000 plus mile hike and condensation isn't going to be an issue, then perhaps consider a trekking pole tent if you're going to have trekking poles anyway. So lots of things to consider, but all in all, love this tent. It's been very, very good to me. It feels like a good old friend. And yeah, this might be the tent that comes on me with the Appalachian Trail. I'm still thinking about it, but absolutely love the MSR NX tent. I highly recommend. So thank you for listening to this video and hearing me waffle on about tents. I'm always happy to answer questions. I'm always happy to talk about tents. So yeah, if you want to ask any questions or leave your opinions on this tent, fire away in the comments, and yeah, I'll be sure to answer them. So yeah, thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.